It's extremely tragic, although perhaps not predictable, that we've had another shooting in America today. I'm speaking about Price Middle School. This is near southeast Atlanta. There was a shooting. We don't have a ton of details at the time that we're filming this, but we do know that multiple people were wounded. There's a possibility that a teacher was actually trampled in people's rush to get out of the school. Now they believe, the details we have, and please don't quote me in a day or two when things change, but they believe that this was not somebody coming in to shoot up the school. It was a confrontation between two people that apparently spread. That's what it seems like. Someone is in custody, although we don't know at this time if it was the shooter or not. And the reason I bring this up is not to rehash, the problems that we have with this or our horror at the fact that these are becoming so commonplace. But I do want to use this to segue into the topic that Americans do support most of the proposals that Obama and some of the Democratic senators have proposed for gun control. And I think that one of the reasons we see these high levels of support is because we go every couple of days there's another shooting. Not another shooting, another school massacre, I should say. The shootings happen every single day. It's the school massacres that are twice a week. But anyway, let's show you some of the details we have, because a number of polls have come out in the wake of the shooting in Newtown. So the first one, let's see. We've got support for closing the gun show loophole, which Wayne LaPierre finds to be so mind-bogglingly impossible to even debate. 84%. I don't know what else we could come up with that would receive 84% support by the American public.
And apple pie.
Perhaps apple pie. 57% support for reinstating the ban on assault weapons. I'm actually surprised that that is so high. 53% back banning the sale of high-capacity magazines. Let's go on to the next one. I believe this is Johns Hopkins Bloomberg. 89% universal background checks. That is as high as you will get on almost anything in this country. 69% support banning the sale of semi-automatic assault weapons. When you have 70% of the public, this is something that, and it fits your ideology, I think that you should push for it, and thankfully Obama, at least today, is. 68% support banning the sale of large capacity ammunition magazines. Apparently, Gail Trotter's arguments that women need to be able to shoot at least 50 to 100 shots.
This is the part of the gun debate that just drives me crazy. That the NRA folks want to pretend that this is about disarming the public, and you hear, "Oh, I need this or that to protect myself." And the NRA ad that said, "Well, if President Obama wants to have armed guards around his kids, then why can't each American be able to arm themselves and protect their kids
with a light machine gun?"
With a light, that's the point, right? That's the part that's crazy, because nobody's saying you can't have a shotgun. Nobody's saying that you can't. Well, I guess
Joe Biden's saying you should have a shotgun, apparently.
So, what the NRA has basically said, they're basically saying that semi-automatic assault weapons with high-capacity magazines are fundamentally protected in the Second Amendment. And the way I read the Second Amendment, which is basically the words in the Second Amendment, arms is left deliberately vague and not defined. It doesn't say you have a right to bear assault weapons with high-capacity magazines. It says you have a right to bear arms.
Yeah, because there were no assault weapons with high-capacity magazines.
Of course, and by the way, I would also argue that the well-regulated part of the Second Amendment, I would argue that you could that a high-capacity magazine semi-automatic assault weapon is, by its very definition, if sold to the mass public, not well regulated. That is not a well regulated device to be able to fire that many rounds. And yet the NRA is trying to make this a debate, trying to say that even a discussion about this is an assault on people's constitutional rights. I still have not heard a credible argument where somebody says, I need a high-capacity magazine semi-automatic rifle to defend my family and my home. I get the I need, or I feel the need for a shotgun, a pistol, something like that. But a semi-automatic assault weapon? I mean, when I was hosting my radio show, I had people call up and say, I need a semi-automatic assault weapon to go hunting. And my first response was, you must not be a very good shot. You must not be a very good hunter.
Yeah, well, look, as I've said before when we've discussed this, it's difficult to define exactly what an assault weapon is, because semi-automatic sounds bad, but a lot of guns are semi-automatic. Yes. Most guns are semi-automatic. I'm more in favor of limiting the size of the cartridge, for instance. I think that makes sense. I think that you can't simply ban semi-automatic weapons because that would ban almost every gun conventionally sold. I mean, my father had a black powder rifle back in the day that doesn't qualify. I don't think most people are going to try to defend their home with that.
Right, I mean, a revolver is a semi-automatic weapon. You just click it. Right.
But yeah, but there have to be limits. You don't need claymores. Okay, you don't need RPGs. And I understand that people are always worried about slippery slopes. Ever since in school in 4th or 5th grade they learned what slippery slope was, they're worried that if they ban the 50-round magazines today, they're going to be banning the 6-round magazines tomorrow. I don't intend to. Look, I can't speak for Obama. Maybe on the last day of his term he wants to take you down to 2 bullets in a magazine. I don't think that's going to happen, so I think they should relax. And they already own the guns in most cases anyway.
Well, here's my proposal. How about this? Maybe we can, maybe if some legislator is listening right now, how about just a very high tax on bullets? We can solve a bunch of problems all at once, right? we can raise revenue. We've got a deficit problem. We can make it more expensive to buy lots of rounds, so you can still have your high capacity magazines, but let's say each bullet costs $100. How about that?